North Smithfield Town Council, April 20th, 2020 is called to order. First item on the agenda is the prayer and a pledge. Madam Clerk.
Lord, assist with thy Holy Spirit of counsel all those who are serving in positions of authority and responsibility. Ooh, sorry,
I
fella.
pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Here.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Present.
Mr. Ogier?
Here.
Mr. Zwolinski?
Present.
Mr. Vadney?
Here. This is North Smithfield Town Council sitting at the Board of
Sorry, that was me.
License issued to Keith Lambert doing business as New England Novelty. Discussion by council vote other action on revocation of peddler's license issued to Keith Lambert doing business as New England Novelty for good cause, including property owner of real estate located at 60 Eddie Dowling Highway has withdrawn consent to conduct peddler's sales activity at this location. Rhode Island General Law 5-11-18, Code of Ordinances, Article 11, Section 110 and Section 111. Is there a motion to revoke the peddler's license issued to Keith Lambert doing business as New England Novelty?
So moved.
I gotta keep everybody unmuted. Hang on.
Okay.
You guys will just have to raise your hands when you want to speak, and then he'll call on you because I can't keep everybody muted.
Okay. Mrs. O'Hara.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. O'Hara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zwolenski. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, excuse me. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zwolinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council of other action on payment of bills. This time I'd entertain a motion to approve following for payment of bills on dated 4/20/2020. General Fund, $275,310.87. Sewer and Water, $89,183.98, for a total of $364,494.85. With the following electronic payments: to the library, $37,949.15. To the school department, $1,680,723. To the fire and rescue, North Smithfield Fire and Rescue, $248,879.50. To the interlocal trust for monthly insurance, $132,588.58. The retirement account, $9,907.57. USDA loan, 92-09, $4,709. To Ryback Public School, 216A, the U.S. Bank for a bond, $1,802,920.75. Total electronic payments, $3,917,677.55, for grand total payments of $4,282,172.40. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Zwolenski and seconded by Mrs. O'Hara. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zwolinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney?
Yes. And as we did last week, we'll have to get into the clerk's office to sign the original cover sheet.
So will we have that tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Next item, discussion by council vote other action on consent agenda. All items listed in this section are considered in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a councilor so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda. A, town council minutes of March 30th, 2020. Communications Animal Control Monthly Report for March of 2020. North Smithfield Police Department Monthly Report for March of 2020. North Smithfield Municipal Court Monthly Report for March of 2020. North Smithfield Fire Department Monthly Report for March of 2020 and fiscal year 2020 third quarter profit and loss report. Are there any items that need to be removed from that list? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent?
Hey, DJ's raising his hand.
I was just wondering if we could remove the profit and loss report.
Okay. We will remove that from the list. Any other questions wanted removed? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with item 5, fiscal year 2020 third quarter profit loss report taken out?
I'll make a motion to remove that and to place and file the rest. My other screen just went blank. Bear with me. I'll have to.
Okay. I can't see you, so I don't know who's putting their hands up. I don't see everybody right now. But there's a motion by Mr. Zelinski to approve the consent agenda minus item B5. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Barnamoli. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
yes,
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Next is discussion by council vote other action on specific item removed from consent agenda above fiscal year 2020 third quarter profit and loss report. Mr. O.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a quick question. I don't know if it's for Cynthia or if Gary can answer it best, but I noticed when I was going through it that there's some areas where there seems to be like large amounts of money that haven't been spent. Like one example was in the Hallowell utilities. It looked like we had only spent 11.7 of 33K. I noticed we had some janitorial services that we haven't used yet. I just wasn't sure. I know we've only spent 31% of the budget so far year to date. Do we know what the impact of COVID-19 is, or are some of these things just waiting to be paid out at the end of the year? So I was just kind of curious.
You want me to answer that or Gary?
Go ahead. You can start. You can start, Cynthia. and-
Okay. So the Hallowell utilities, that was based on an estimate that was given to us by the school. There are some bills that have not been paid, so, you know, and because the school's empty now, we didn't know what to estimate for that. So there's a possibility that not all of those funds will be utilized. As far, what was the other section that you asked?
Some like
Janitorial. The janitorial, we just started with the janitorial, so that should be used in the next few months.
Okay, and then the roads and the sidewalks I noticed too was another large area where we hadn't spent a lot so far, and I wasn't sure.
I'm sorry, which one was it, DJ?
Roads, sidewalk repairs and replacing.
Oh, Gary can answer that one.
Okay.
We are awaiting if you remember, Councilman, last year, the full contract that we authorized to Team Miozzi didn't get completed. The weather closed in on them. They got backed up schedule-wise. So Parkview and Edward Drive have not been resurfaced as they were planned. That work is expected to start in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was like a delay with everything going on or not.
No, and actually some of that is actually forward-looking expenditure too, that we need it for other work that we expect to do. We have had an experience on Old Smithfield Road that I think I've made everyone aware of, that will also be hitting that account with a drainage problem that we were forced to correct. I had hoped to work that drainage correction issue into a nearby development project, but the stream that flows under the road was being more and more restricted. There's some beaver activity. There was some degradation of the old culvert itself, something that's probably a couple hundred years old, that they forced us to have to take it out. And I hope to see that reinstalled this week, all of which is going to be an unbudgeted expense that will hit that same line. So those dollars will be, most of them will be spent before the end of the year. And whatever is left, we will be looking to carry over into the future budgeting for the same process, because we haven't yet reached that $800,000 a year allocation that I have advocated we go to.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Ogier, was your question that we only spent 31% of our budget?
Yeah, unless I read it wrong.
No, that's how much
You're
is
reading it
left.
wrong. We only have,
that's
we
how
have
much-
30,
okay,
we
yeah.
have 31% of our budget left.
That's my fault then, yeah.
Which puts us in good shape considering we have
Yeah.
10% of the year left and we're 25% of the budget. So it's showing that our budget process is working pretty good.
If you look at the other side, from a collection standpoint, we're ahead of the 75% point, which this report is coming to you at. So we're ahead on the receipts and we're behind on the expenditures. But some of those expenditures will only be done as the year ends.
Okay.
Any other questions on the profit and loss report? Is there a motion to accept and place on file?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Zelinski, Mrs. O'Hara.
Second.
Mrs. O'Hara seconds the motion. Any other discussion? Roll call vote?
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes. Next item, new business, discussion by council vote or other action on town administrator's executive orders dated March 15th and 21st of 2020 and April 3rd and 16th of 2020. Is there a motion by the council to approve and ratify those executive orders?
Mr. President, if I might, there really isn't a need for any ratification. I simply ask that they be on the agenda to offer any opportunity for discussion and input. I certainly welcome the input. These orders are within my purview as the administrator under the charter, but want to make sure that if there are concerns that I hear them from you and that the town hears them as well.
I'd still like to make a motion to support the administrator's declaration of emergencies. That's a motion.
We have a motion by Mrs. Zelinski in support. Is there a second? Mrs. O'Hara?
Second.
Mrs. O'Hara seconds. And Gary, I think you've been doing a pretty good job with these things, but kind of following with what he's doing. And then we're tailoring to meet what our town's needs are. So like Mrs. Zelinski says, I fully support the actions that you've taken to date.
Thank you. Always open to comment, as you well know, I hope.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote?
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes.
Thank you.
Next is discussion by council vote or other action to extend the trash and recycling contract. Mr. Jesus.
Okay, Ray, the DPW director, negotiated with MTG to continue the contract for 1 full year at the rate of 2.4%.
I might add to that.
CPI. That was CPI, correct?
That was
Yes.
what?
2.4% was not an increase in the contract. That was just the increase in consumer price and CPI.
That is what the reference
Mhm.
was, Councilman.
Yes.
If I can help a little bit. Contract put out to bid a couple of months ago, and what it became we only had 2 bidders, and it became highly problematic in that one of the 2 bidders had some there were some off-script issues. I don't know what else to call them, that in the bids that where our opportunity to avail ourselves of the lowest bid, I believed was going to be complicated by an appeal. As such, and that bid was within that bid was the option to look at or to go to automated pickup of both our trash and our recycling. And in the process, who owned the containers at the end of the contract became a question that wasn't clear. And in the final analysis, rather than try to go forward with a chance, we tried to negotiate. I tried to get a 2% increase, which has been my approach to many things, as I think many know. And the best we could do with MTG, I'm sorry, was to get them to a 2.4, which was a national CPI reference. I do believe, it's not I believe, it is absolutely the lowest cost option for us in whether it was any of the bid numbers or our options in the negotiations directly with MTG to be able to afford our disposal costs for next year. So I advocate that we go forward with this at the 2.4% increase as the best opportunity we can provide for next year's trash removal.
I'm fine. Gary, you mentioned national CPI. Was there much difference between Boston and national?
Well, it's a matter of, there were some variances. I think we had basis for sticking closer to a 2, but Paul, we just couldn't get there.
I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You've heard the recommendation of both the finance director and the administrator. Is there a motion to approve a 1-year extension of the contract at a rate increase of 2.4%?
Mr. President, the motion, if you would say a 2.4% to meet the Northeast area CPI adjustment.
That's your motion?
Yeah, I just wanted to embellish it a wee bit to cover that Northeast CPI adjustment.
Okay.
Yes, that's my motion.
Motion by Mrs. Zelinski. Is there a second? I can't see everybody.
Ms. O'Hara is raising her hand.
Okay. Mrs. O'Hara?
Hiding my face, yes. Second,
Mrs. O'Hara seconds. Just one question, Gary, I don't want to cause a stir or anything on this. Does this address the trash pickup at High Rocks?
no.
Does not.
It does not.
It does not. This is our base contract starting point for the town collection as we have it today.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was clear on that.
That's a good point.
Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes,
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mrs. Walensky?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes. Next up, discussion by council vote, other action on the following school building contracts. We have an invoice number 900165518 dated 3/11/2020 in the amount of $260 to STV DPM. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Bonioli.
So moved.
Motion
I'm
by
not
Mrs.
seeing it.
Bonioli. Mrs. O'Hara?
second,
Mrs. O'Hara seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
yes,
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mrs. Walensky?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes. Next is an invoice from STV number 900167745 dated 4/8/2020 in the amount of $260. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. President.
Motion by Mrs. Zelinski, Mrs. Bonioli.
Second.
Mrs. Bonioli seconds. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
yes,
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mrs. Walensky?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes. Next item, Stephen Turner Incorporated, invoice number 3064 dated 2/29/20 in the amount of $2,045.90. Is there a motion to approve? Mrs. O'Hara.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. O'Hara. Is there a second?
Second for discussion, Mr. President.
Second by Mrs. Zelinski. Discussion, Mr. Zelinski.
Yeah, yes, the description, Mr. President. Are you versed to give us a layperson's description of what coordinate and execute functional performance testing at elementary school and ES and HS?
What Stephen Turner is doing is they're oh, now I lose the term.
Documentations?
It has to do with balancing the systems, making sure all the systems are up and running. There's a term.
The system startup.
Drawn a blank.
Mechanical check?
They're doing commissioning. That's what they're doing. It's
There you
called
go.
commissioning.
Okay, thank you.
And it's been signed off by both the OPM, Alan CP, and Mike St. Jean. So everyone that's needed to has signed off on all of these invoices. And it appears that they're getting near the end of this project too, so.
Yay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes. Next is another invoice from Stephen Turner, dated 3/31 of 2020, invoice number 3092, in the amount of $3,224.25. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Zelinski makes a motion to approve. Is there a second? Mrs. O'Hara
Second.
makes a motion to second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes. Next item, Gilbane Building Company invoice number J08248.010-10. It is dated 2/29/2020. It is in the amount of $68,121.44. It has to do with the North Smithfield High School Science Lab renovation. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Ogier. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Second the motion.
Mrs. O'Hara seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes. Next item is Gilbane Building Company invoice number J08248.010-12, dated 3/31/2020. Again, it's for the science lab renovations. This one is in the amount of $36,438.73. Is there a motion to approve? Mrs. Bonioli.
So moved.
Mrs. Bonioli makes a motion. Is there a second? Mrs. O'Hara.
Second.
Mrs. O'Hara seconds. Any other discussion? Mr. Ogier?
Well, no, I'm good. I was just,
Oh, okay, you just had your hand up.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes. Next item, discussion by council vote or other action on award of bids for 2 police 2020 Ford Interceptor SUVs. Mr. Jesus.
That's, that went out to bid, hold on, I just got frozen. That went out to bid on March 31st, and there was only one bidder. It was for MHQ, and it was for 2 vehicles at the amount of $102,793. One of them is a hybrid engine, and the other one's a gas engine. And due to the shutdown of the manufacturers, there is a lack of availability. So they gave us the best price possible for the hybrid. And actually, I think the police departments actually test drove it, and they were happy with it. So I moved to approve the bid to MHQ for the amount of $102,793 for 2 police vehicles, SUVs.
You've heard the recommendation of the finance director. Is there a motion to award the bid to MHQ Municipal Vehicles in the amount of $102,793?
So moved.
Mrs. O'Hara.
second,
Mr. Zelinski made the motion. Mrs. O'Hara seconds. Under discussion. Cynthia,
Yes.
when they submitted the bid, and it shows that it's a revised quote with the hybrid
Yep.
included, and it has a number for the hybrid engine, an upcharge of $1,373. But at the bottom of the list,
Mhm.
it shows a bid number of $99,420.
Right, because the original came in at 99,420. And then if you see everything else, it says included, and then they added the hybrid at 3,343.
The
So that-
issue is availability, Mr. President. The timeline for acquiring the second unit would have been extended,
Mhm.
cut down with a undefined delivery date. The price would have been held, but we wouldn't have known when we were going to get the unit. This hybrid was available. It actually was driven by our crew for a week and found to be a good performer.
Mhm.
And it's available to us now.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
yes,
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mrs. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Yes.
Just a further point of information, this will be a test of sorts because one of the things that you'll note when you see the budget is that our gasoline expense, our fuel expense in the police department has been rising despite the circumstance where fuel costs have actually been dropping. But what's happened is, you think about it, we've gone from having the change in vehicles. We're going to all these SUVs that don't have, we at this point, the assessment is that it's the SUVs that's costing us the higher fuel consumption. So we'll see if this unit actually benefits us from a fuel standpoint as time goes on.
Yeah, it may, like you say, it may be beneficial when they're idling somewhere that the engine's gonna shut down, and then
Exactly. We'll see.
we'll see. That's it for the agenda. Hopefully we can get back to regular meetings in person. This is getting better at it, though. We'll see where it goes. We're still testing, but I think it worked pretty good tonight. We'll start seeing if we can add more things to the agenda now that we can do regular business as well as just essential business. So we'll continue to test it and see how it goes. And because we're gonna have to start doing stuff, they're getting stuff that's bundling up. The municipal building task force is getting backed up a little bit. That stuff is starting to pile up. So if we get back to normal, or we're gonna have to all figure out how to run the Zoom meeting. So thank you all for your time tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mrs. O'Hara,
I make a motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
They always seconds.
Like you having a fun time.
Roll call vote.
Social interaction.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Oh, God,
Yes.
I never thought of it that way.
Mrs.
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yes,
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadney,
Hey, just one last question before I say yes.
I have
oh, I know what it is.
Mr. Ogier, what is the new baby's name?
Riley.
Huh?
What is-
Riley.
Riley.
Is
Good.
anybody sleeping?
We're doing as best you can.
You're not.
You're never gonna sleep again,
That's what they say.
ever. Not even when they turn 17, you won't sleep.
They turn 30 and move out and are married, you won't.
I vote to adjourn as well. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Well done, folks.
Night.